Miss Hannah Stevenson, I need you to raise your right hand and tell me that your hand is in the air.
It's in the air.
Miss Stevenson, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, ma'am. You can put your hand down. Isaiah Chambers, I need you to raise your right hand and tell me that your hand is in the air. Isaiah Chambers, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. You can put your hand down. Your case has been called, Ms. Overstreet. You can call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to call Ms. Stevenson. And does Bella live with you?
Yes, she does.
And did you and Mr. Chambers have paternity testing done in this case?
We did.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to ask the court to enter into evidence the DNA results in this case.
Ms. Stevenson, I've just placed on the screen a copy of the alleged DNA test results between you, Bella Gianni, and the alleged father, Mr. Chambers. Is it okay if I look at these DNA test results?
Yes, sir.
The same question, Mr. Chambers. Is it okay if I look at Bella's DNA test results?
Yes, sir.
State's Exhibit A is admitted into evidence.
Ms. Stevenson, what county do you live in?
Jefferson County.
And the child lives with you?
Yes, ma'am.
And if you know, do you know what county Mr. Chambers lives in?
No, I don't know.
Okay. Now, do you have any safety concerns or issues with your address being in the court order?
I do.
Can you tell the court of any incidences that have happened in the last 2 years that gives you those concerns?
He have been stalking me, and he made it known that he was stalking me and known of my whereabouts. I haven't seen him, but he's letting me know that he was stalking me at a time.
Okay. Have you ever filed any police reports against Mr. Chambers?
I have.
And what was that for?
The police report was for assault with me and my daughter involved, and I called them, and I found out that case did go through.
Okay. How long ago did this incident take place?
It took place around July the 3rd, 2020.
And can you tell the court what happened that led to the assault charge?
He finally decided to give my daughter back to me. So we met up in Winnie at a place, and we got into an argument, and then I left, and then he called to tell me that I did forget some things in his car for our child. So I pulled over on the side of a highway where I thought was safe so that he could give me the rest of our child's stuff. And he got in my car, he took the keys out, he started to hurt me and tried to take the baby out of the car seat and take her back. He pulled out his gun, he threw my keys in the field where we was at. And he didn't leave until he found out that I had people that was coming to my safety, and we was on the phone with the 911 dispatcher.
Okay. And that case is still pending?
Well, they sent me a letter August the 30th of 2020 to tell me that they did file that case for assault family violence.
Okay. And you said something about when he finally decided to give you the child back. What had happened?
That's what happened. We met up at a parking lot.
Okay. Now, if the court were to decide not to put your address in the court in the order, do you have a place where you suggest any supervised visitation and or exchange of visitation could occur that is close to your home?
Yes, ma'am.
Where would that be?
At my mother's house.
Okay. And your mother lives in Jefferson County?
Yes, ma'am.
And does Mr. Chambers, does he know where your mother lives?
Yes, ma'am.
And you have asked your mother, and your mother is okay with this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, are you asking the court to change the child's last name?
To leave the child last name is
Okay, and can you tell the court why you believe that's in the best interest of this child?
because it's been that way since she was born, and all of her paperwork is all filed done, and I don't see no need of a change.
Okay. Now, when was the last time Mr. Chambers visited with the child?
The last time was June the 23rd of 2020.
Okay. Is that when that incident you talked about before happened? Or was that
Yes,
after
ma'am.
that?
That's when he got her, and after that he wasn't trying to give her back to me.
Okay. Now, how is the child currently covered for insurance?
He's under my Medicaid.
Okay. And you don't have any personal knowledge or information about where Mr. Chambers works or his income, do you?
No, ma'am.
And do you have any personal knowledge of whether or not he has any other children under the age of 18?
Not that I know of.
And are you asking for any back child support or just child support going forward?
Both.
Okay. Now, since the child was born, have you and Mr. Chambers ever lived together?
No, ma'am.
And since the child was born, do you have any knowledge of whether or not Mr. Chambers has ever been incarcerated?
No, ma'am.
And has he helped you financially since the child was born?
No, ma'am.
When was the first time you told him that he could be the father of the child?
When I first found out that I was pregnant in October.
And have you ever told him anybody else could possibly be the father?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions of this witness. Excuse
Call
me.
you next witness.
I'd like to call Mr. Chambers. And what county do you live in?
Harris County.
And when was the last time that you recall seeing the child?
July 4th, 2022.
Okay. And as far as you know, are there still some charges pending against you from back at that time?
There are no charges.
Okay, so no charges were filed against you that you know of?
I went to court and
Yes.
they told me there's no charges. They dropped everything. I still have my job. So
Okay.
So, Mr. Chambers, there
Yes,
was
sir.
there were criminal charges filed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yes.
there was. Yes, sir.
And
It
you had
was filed.
hold on. And you had to pay a bond to get out of jail. You didn't have to turn yourself in on the case at all?
I didn't do anything.
Just because you post a bond, Mr. Chambers, doesn't have anything to do with whether or not you're guilty.
Yeah.
It just means that your charges got filed. See, you wouldn't have had to go to court, Mr. Chambers, at all if they didn't file charges against you. So somebody filed charges against you.
Yes, sir. She filed them against
hold
me.
on. Just be careful.
Okay.
I want you to be real specific and listen to the actual question that I ask you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want you to admit or deny anything. I just want you to tell me the answer to my question. I'm real specific with what I'm going to ask you, okay? All right.
Okay.
Did you get arrested for the charges that were filed against you in Chambers County?
No, sir.
All right. And you never had to hire a bondsman for the charges that were filed against you in Chambers County?
No, sir, not at all.
Okay. And that may have been because it was who knows, Chambers County may not have been taking misdemeanor cases. But you said that you did have to go to court on the case.
Yes, sir.
Did you have an attorney?
No, sir.
All right. So you just went up there on your own?
Yes, sir.
Did you go in front of the judge?
Yes, sir. We spoke to the judge and he put us in front of the prosecutor and they re-looked at the case. They seen pictures.
Hold on one second. You said we, and I don't know who we is.
Oh, like everybody does in court.
All right. Was Miss Stevenson there?
No, sir.
Did you find that strange that Miss Stevenson, who was actually the one who was filed the charges against you, was not in court?
Very.
All right. Did the judge or anybody at the court say anything about Miss Stevenson not being present?
No, sir.
Okay. Did the prosecutor say anything about Miss Stevenson not being present?
No, sir.
All right. Did you have to take any kind of a plea bargain?
No, sir.
So you didn't have to do any type of community service or anger management, nothing like that?
No, sir.
Okay. When was it that you went in court? Do you remember? Just the month.
It was November 30th.
Of last 2022?
2022, November 30th.
And the charges came out of some incident that Miss Stevenson described from July of 2022?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But that's not what she said in direct testimony. She said July of 2020. I wrote it down. That's why. That's okay. Sometimes people get confused on their dates. All right. All right. Go ahead, Miss Overstreet. You can continue.
I may have asked this, but I didn't write it down, and I apologize. So when was the last time you have seen the child?
Last year, July 4th.
When you say last year, you mean 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, since you haven't seen the child in a while, Miss Stevenson had recommended that any visitation with the child supervised.
Of Mr. Chambers. Ask him his opinion of what he wants, not whether or not Miss Stevenson's opinion is the correct one.
And sir, would you be agreeable to having the supervised visitation at Miss Stevenson's mother's house?
No, ma'am.
Do you have a place that you would recommend for any supervised visitation?
You just want a yes or no? Or can I explain myself? I don't know what y'all want.
I'm asking if you know of a place or
Mr. Chambers, do you think the visitation ought to be supervised?
Of course not.
Okay. Go ahead, Miss Overstreet.
Okay. Sir, where are you working?
I work for PSC in Pasadena at the plant.
And how long have you been working there?
A year and a half now.
And what do you do for them?
I operate.
And are you in a union?
No, ma'am.
And do you, how much do you make an hour?
22.
And on average, how many hours a week do you work?
I can't give you a direct because it's different every week. Sometimes 40, sometimes 36. It varies, the schedule changes. So, I spoke to my supervisor and he, depending on how this.
You can't tell me, Mr. Chambers, what your supervisor said.
Oh, okay. It varies, 40 one week and probably on 36 is another week. It just depends.
And do you have medical insurance available through your job for the child?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you know how much that would cost to put the child on the medical insurance?
No, ma'am, not at all.
Okay. And do you know if dental insurance is available as well?
I believe so. I have to go check on my ADP.
Okay. Do you have any other children under the age of 18 besides this one?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And are you asking the court to leave the name as Steve or change the last name of the child?
She's at Chambers.
And can you tell the court why you believe it's in the child's best interest to change her name to Chambers?
Yes, ma'am. I can elaborate for y'all. I would like to say that as the father of Bella Gianni, I believe she's a Chambers at heart. I believe that I'm doing something for my daughter out here in the city of Houston to pave her way, and that last name is going to carry for her. And she just, I wanted to share the last name on the first hearing. I asked the OAG, we could just share it. And she denied it. She denied it when I asked. I said, well, we can share chambers just to make it fair, because I understand how Hannah feels, and that's her daughter, and I don't want to take nothing from her. But when she denied it, I felt some type of way, like, I'm trying to work with you. Why you denying? This is both of our child. This is not like, I'm not trying to be hateful or anything. That's not what this is about. This is just about trying to be fair. But when she denied that, so now I'm gonna just leave this chambers because you denied something that you should have just took the first time. So, like I said, I'm her father, and majority of kids that I've known take the father last name. Unless I wasn't present in my daughter's life, I wasn't doing nothing. I wasn't here trying to fight for her. I just like whatever, Then
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I think I asked you this, but you actually live in Harris County, not Jefferson. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Your Honor, I have nothing. Oh, I do have one other question. A few other questions. Did you and Miss Stevenson, y'all never lived together since the child was born? Is that correct?
No.
Okay. And you have not been incarcerated since the child was born. Is that correct?
No, ma'am, I haven't.
And you said you've been working for this company for about a year?
Year and a half now.
And then where did you work before then?
I was at HEB or something like that. Yeah, like HEB or this temp job.
Okay. Do you remember? I'm sorry. Do you remember how much you were making at HEB?
Not a lot. Probably about 14 or so, 15, maybe. I don't know.
And when you were working there, do you know how many hours a week you worked?
Not a lot.
Okay.
I only worked like probably 2 to 3 days out the week. I was on part-time, so not a lot.
Okay. And have you helped Miss Stevenson financially with the child since the child was born?
Absolutely.
Can you tell the court how much total cash that you have given her since the child was born?
Well, when we were sharing our daughter 50-50, or I come out there and with her, I used to stay the night at her spot. We had an agreement because she was struggling financially. And I told her, I said, I bought all her clothes, I bought all her shoes. Don't worry about anything. I'm gonna take care of it. And that was our agreement. She even agreed last year for the summertime for me to keep my daughter till August. I had that written in my text messages. She stated her name and everything because I wasn't on a birth certificate. So she called the laws on me. I would show them that this is what was going on. So I bought all my daughter clothes. I bought all her shoes. I bought everything my daughter needed. Her hair get done. I pay for every single last thing. And I have my receipts on Cash App. I used to give Hannah money.
Mr. Chambers.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The question that was asked of you was, how much money did you give Miss Stevenson?
I don't know.
How much money did you give Miss Stevenson for the support of Bella? Not what you bought, not what you got for your daughter, not what services you paid for. How much cash did you give to Miss Stevenson?
I don't want to lie to y'all. I don't know. I gave her a lot of money, though.
That's fine. Go ahead, Ms. Overstreet.
Thank you, Your Honor. One more question. Do you have any other children under the age of 18?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Your Honor, I'd like to pass the witness and call Ms. Nash.
Go ahead.
Ms. Nash, can you state your name, please?
Dolores Nash.
And who do you work for?
Office of the Attorney General.
And how long have you worked for the Office of the Attorney General?
5 years.
And what is your job title?
Child support officer.
And as part of your job duties, are you able to review our customers' wages?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you done so for Mr. Chambers?
I did.
And can you tell the court, were you able to look at the last 12 months of wages for Mr. Chambers?
Yes, I have.
And how much total did he make in the last 12 months gross?
Okay, the yearly was 67,673.38. The monthly,
And were you also able to look at his gross wages and determine any retroactive child support figures for the time since the child was born?
yes, ma'am.
And what would his retroactive have been for the year 2022?
Okay, let me see. 2022 would have been 9,660.
And what about the year 2021?
7,104.
And what about from May 2020 until through December 2020?
3,752.
Okay. And that's all based on wage information that you had available?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. Your Honor, I have nothing further of this witness.
Call your next witness.
I have no further witnesses.
You state rest.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, I got lots of questions. So, Ms. Stevenson, you talked about an incident that happened in July, but I want to make sure I got the year clarified. Did you mean July of 2022 with Mr. Chambers or July of 2020?
2022, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, no worries, but it makes a big difference. So
Yes,
Bella was born in May of 2020. She's actually got a birthday coming up in a couple weeks.
yes, maybe.
So after Bella was born in May of 2020, for the first couple of years after Bella was born, can I assume that you and Mr. Chambers got along well enough for Mr. Chambers to have contact rights with Bella?
Yes,
Okay. So for the first couple of years, y'all got along good enough, at least, for Mr. Chambers to be able to see Bella on a regular basis.
yes, sir.
Did he get to see her on weekends?
Whenever he was off.
Okay. Did he get her for summers?
No,
Okay. So there
I
wasn't any.
always out in my custody.
Well, no, she wasn't always in your custody, Miss Stevenson, because there was
Well,
some time that she was with Miss Chambers. Right?
Correct,
All right. So
correct.
you have to be careful about saying stuff like always and every time, because that's not true. And when you say stuff like that, Miss Stevenson, I could think as a judge, well, Miss Stevenson, she's just trying to exaggerate her position a little bit to make herself sound better. Or I could be thinking, Miss Stevenson just could be flat out lying to me, which means I'm not going to believe anything that comes out of your mouth. All right. I think I'm just going to go with the first part and think that Miss Stevenson's probably just exaggerating a little bit to make her side sound better. How's that?
Understood.
All right. So let's not use terms like ever, always, or never, because it's obvious to me that Mr. Chambers was in Bella's life for the first 2 years after Stella was born. Wouldn't you agree with me?
I would.
All right. So, but something did happen in July of 2022, and it's safe for me to assume that since that date, Mr. Chambers has had no contact with Bella?
No contact at all. He did have one contact, which was a FaceTime call,
Yeah,
but he ruined it.
Yeah, they don't.
So no.
I don't. Phone calls for a 3-year-old child, that don't count.
Okay, so no, sir.
All right. So, Miss Stevenson, for the first 2 years after Bella, and I'm sorry, I'm going to say Stella for some reason. I don't know why. Bella's a much better name. For the first 2 years after Bella was born, how would you describe Mr. Chambers' contact? How was his visitation? How often was it happening?
I'm not sure. I just know whenever he was off.
Okay.
And whenever he had the time to come see her, that's when he came seeing her.
All right. So he would come from his house in Houston or wherever he lives in Harris County, to your house in Jefferson County, and he would visit Bella at your house?
Yes, sir.
All right. Did Mr. Chambers ever start taking Bella from your house and go into Harris County with her?
Yes, sir, at one point in time.
So eventually he started having regular contact rights, even though it might have been working around his job, right?
Right.
Right. Now, he said that y'all had agreed that he would have a summer con. You don't remember having a summer visit, him having a summer visitation with Bella?
No. I never gave him Bella for the summer.
Okay. But yet you guys did have to agree at some point in time to meet in Winnie for him to exchange the child with you, right?
Yes, but it would only be for the weekend, and then I would get her back.
Okay. All right. But no real long periods of time.
No, not at all.
Okay. All right. But weekends were okay with you.
Yes.
You just didn't think Bella was ready for big, long summer visits yet.
No, sir.
Or maybe Miss Stevenson wasn't ready for big, long summer visitation. And it's okay, Miss Stevenson, if you weren't ready. You're not hurting your case by telling me that that's part of it.
I think both. I think I wouldn't be ready for long visits until my child was able to talk.
Your child was 2, Miss Stevenson. In 2022, during the summer of 2022, Bella was 2 years old. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's still not very old. You don't have to defend yourself for that. All right? There's nothing. I'm not gonna hold it against you if you'd have said, no, Judge, I was not ready in the summer of 2022 to let Bella go for a whole month. I'm not gonna hold that against you.
I wasn't ready.
I think most parents might have a difficult time with a 2-year-old saying, yeah, I'm ready to let my baby go for a month. So don't worry about that. That ain't hurting your case. What does hurt your case is the fact that Mr. Chambers hasn't seen his daughter in 8 months. That hurts your case. 9 months.
Okay.
That hurts your case. Ms. Stevenson, you said that based on the incident that happened in July of 2022, the police were called. You were on the phone with the 911 dispatcher when the incident took place with Mr. Chambers, correct?
Correct.
All right. Do you have a copy of that 911 dispatch?
No, it wasn't called by me. It was called by my mother.
Okay.
And I don't know.
Did your mother get a copy of the 911 dispatch?
No, sir.
All right. So did the police show up when Mr. Chambers and you were both in the car?
The 911 dispatcher told me that she couldn't find my location for some odd reason.
Okay.
I tried to give descriptions of where I was at, and they couldn't find me.
But you did find out at some point in time after that Mr. Chambers did have a case filed against him for that incident that took place.
Yes, they sent me a letter in the mail.
All right. And that was in Chambers County, right?
No, yes, I'm sorry. It was in Chambers County.
All right. I mean, you said it was Winnie. That's Chambers County.
Yes.
All right. And so did you stay in touch with Chambers County after that as the victim of the family assault? Did you stay in touch with the prosecutor in Chambers County?
No, sir, I didn't.
Did you ever call the Anahuac Sheriff's Department to find out what the status of were the charges?
No, sir, I didn't.
See, here's the problem. I take these allegations like this real serious, Miss Stevenson, okay?
Okay.
But I expect you to take them real serious too. And that means if you are the victim of an assault, you have even a small amount of burden to make sure that if you're serious about that charge, that you assist the county in prosecuting that charge. That means you should have called the sheriff's department. You should have called the prosecutor. You should have been calling the county officials wanting to know what is the status of this criminal charge against Mr. Chambers. What?
Right.
See, the Chambers County courts didn't hold Mr. Chambers responsible for that for whatever reason. I have a hard time myself holding him responsible for it if they didn't. That didn't mean it doesn't happen. It just means I'm not really sure that it's fair to Mr. Chambers to get 2 bites at the same apple. We'll see. We'll see. We might be able to work that around.
Okay.
Are you working, Mr. Chambers, do you work 36 or 40 hours a week? Is it Monday through Friday?
Yes, sir. Yes and no. They switched me recently to 4 on, 4 off, and I think I'll be back on days Monday through Friday.
I mean, I'm trying to set it up, Mr. Chambers, because look, you need to get your visitation with Bella.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I mean, that's whatever, everything else going on in this case. I've got to get you reestablished with your relationship with your daughter. That has to happen. Okay. So, but you haven't had any contact with her for several months.
No, since 10 months. It made 10 months.
Right. Yeah, 10
May
months.
4th.
Even further than that.
May 4th. May 4th made 10 months in a week.
Right.
Right. So
I got you. And you know where, Mr. Chambers, you know where Miss Stevenson's mother lives?
Yes, sir, I do. May I ask a question?
Not yet. Let me make sure I got all my questions answered first, okay?
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Chambers, I need to know whatever was going on after that July incident when you didn't get to see Bella anymore after that, right?
No, sir, I didn't.
All right. Was there anybody from Chambers County that reached out to you and told you, Mr. Chambers, that you couldn't have contact with Miss Stevenson or the child?
No, sir, not at all.
All right. Did you reach out, Mr. Chambers, to Miss Stevenson and try to get your contact rights with Bella again?
Absolutely. Every day almost.
Okay. Well, some people might consider that stalking if you're calling every day, Mr. Chambers.
Well, I can't call her. She changed her number on me, so
okay.
I thought I was.
And then how could you call her every day if you don't know her number?
Well, I thought I was just blocked, so I was trying to get in touch with her through my sister, and my sister was like, "Nah, she changed her number," and I hit her up on Messenger. I text every day and see how's my daughter doing. Do she need anything or stuff like that? I don't really ask about her. I ask about my daughter.
All right. Hey, Miss Stevenson.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything else that you think I need to know about this case before I make a ruling?
Yes, sir. Even though he have tried to contact me through Messenger, he also contacted my spouse people, and he threatened them to hurt them and harm them and pull up to their address.
Did these people go down to the police station and turn all that information over to the cops so he could be arrested for terroristic threat?
No, sir, but I do have all.
Here's the problem that I have with a lot of these cases. People need to understand that you don't just get to come in here and start throwing stuff at other people without taking the steps. If your people didn't take it serious enough, and Miss Stevenson, to go down and get charges filed against Mr. Chambers for terroristic threat, why should I?
I didn't know that you could do that.
Sure. Well, so your excuse, Miss Stevenson, is that not you, but that your friends and your families who you say Mr. Chambers threatened don't know what the law is in this state. Correct?
Correct.
All right. Well, that's not an excuse. It's never an excuse in this state or in this country to say, I didn't know what the law was. You're always supposed to know what the law is. You may not know how to use it, but you're always supposed to know what the law is.
Understood.
What else you need to tell me, Miss Stevenson? Because I want to hear your side. If there's something else I need to know, I want you to tell me.
No, sir, nothing at all.
All right. Mr. Chambers, what else do you think I need to know about this case before I make a ruling?
I think you should know, I prayed a lot. I talked to God about this. So I'm going to tell y'all what happened was we had a schedule set on all my off days. I get Bella Gianni.
Mr. Chambers. Mr. Chambers.
You hear me?
I want you to be real careful.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You are currently under oath and you are in a courtroom in the state of Texas. If you start to describe for me anything that happened in that incident between you and Miss Stevenson, and hold on, and I think that what you just told me is a violation of the criminal laws of the state of Texas, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take this recording and I'm going to turn it over to the prosecutors in Chambers County, and they're going to file on you. So my advice to you is, you're here without an attorney. you should probably stay away from giving me any details about anything that would relate to a possible criminal offense in Chambers County.
Mhm.
Go ahead.
Okay. So we had an agreement. She set a date to get our daughter. She wasn't there to pick up our daughter.
Mhm.
She set a time and date, and we're supposed to meet in Daytown at Buc-ee's, or like we usually meet at.
Mhm.
She wasn't there to pick up our daughter, and I called her. I'm like, "Hey, where you at? What are you doing?"
Mhm.
"I'm busy. I'm on a date." I said, "You on a date? So you on a date with a guy is more important than getting your daughter on time." I had to be to work at 4 in the morning.
Miss Stevenson, don't interrupt him, Miss Stevenson. He's digging a hole deeper for himself than you ever could. Go ahead, Mr. Chambers.
So it was Sunday, and I told her, I said, "Come get Bella Gianna." I got to be at work I got to get up at 3 in the morning, be at there at 4. So she was like, "I'm busy, hanging up my face, XYZ." So I'm like, this is crazy. So me personally, being as I have a big heart, so I was gonna drive to Port Arthur because she said it was flooded out there for some odd reason. She said it was raining too bad for her to drive and meet me, even in Weenie. When I said, "Well, meet me in Weenie," she's like, "It's flooded out here. I'm not about to drive my car over there." I said, I was with my sister and I was about to drive to Port Arthur, and my sister was like, "No, don't drive out there, because all she's gonna do is the next time she's gonna expect you to do the same thing you're doing right now." So I didn't drive out there. I went back home. I kept my daughter for 1 week. 1 week, that's it. I said I contact Hannah, I made sure that she had her daughter, and FaceTime videos, and I text her, let her know how Gianni is doing. And I brought her back July 4th. I never kept Gianni away from Hannah at all. I always make sure she talked to her on the phone if I do have her. I always make sure that Hannah's the mother of my daughter. She deserves to live with the mom. I always tell Hannah that I won't ever in my life take Gianni away from you. And we had those conversations, and she get mad at me and she get upset. And you might not believe when I tell you this, she threatened to put our daughter up for adoption. She said, "I'll put my daughter up for adoption. If I can't have her, no one can have her, because you're not taking my baby from me." And this and that. She said, "I don't care. I put her up for adoption. I kill her, whatever." I said, so me, out of emotions, I get upset and I yell back at her on the phone. We're on the phone talking. And I'm like, "You don't ever say that about our own child." You know what I'm saying? That's I don't care how mad you get at someone, that won't ever come out of my mouth. To put my own daughter up for adoption, and you got papers to do it, and you threaten to kill our own daughter because you can't have her, no one can. I know what's best for Bella Gianni. And I always tell Hannah, I'm like, I'm not keeping her from you. But when I know what's best for our daughter, and I have plans for her, I make sure she's gonna go to a good school and everything, a good area. You know what I'm saying? I know, and she was struggling, for herself, trying to get a good job and stuff like that. So why would I leave you to struggle with a baby when she could come with me? You know what I'm saying? And that would be a big help for her. You could go to school like you say you wanted to. You could do this, do that, you know what I'm saying? And then when you have time, you know what I'm saying, come see Bella Gianni. You can have her, you know what I'm saying? That's cool. It's cool. You know what I'm saying? So that's what happened between her and I. And it's like she was in competition with me, who keeps the baby longer, who does more for the child. And it's not even about that. It's about being a mom and dad. And I always tell her, you don't be her friend, you be her mom. I call her one night and she'd be like, I say, why is Gianni not in bed? And she'd be like, she don't have a bedtime. Mm-hmm. She said that our daughter don't listen to her. So she calls me and say, your daughter's not listening to me. She don't want to mind. She acting up, falling down in the stores and crying, whatever, and I'm like, okay, well, that's typical for a 2-year-old, but it don't make you have to be a mom, not her friend. That's what I always tell her. And you want to be her friend. That's why she act the way she act, because you're not being her mom. You let her get away with all this stuff. And
can we wrap this up, Mr. Chambers?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap it up, but that's pretty much it,
Okay.
Gianni, can I say?
No, it's okay, Miss Stevenson. See, here's the problem. No, it's not that he gets to talk last, Miss Stevenson. It doesn't matter. And neither one of y'all really offer me anything that's going to have a difference on how I rule in the case. Here's what I see. You don't see this because you're in it. I see it because I do it every day, and I listen to what y'all tell me. What I heard was was that for the first 2 years after Bella was born, y'all got along well enough that you could act as good co-parents to raise her. Did y'all have issues? Yes, all parents do. But something happened in July of 2022 that made everything stop. And ever since then, it's been no contact. Does Mr.
Correct.
Chambers believe that Miss Stevenson was a good mom? I think he does. The problem is that Mr. Chambers now is having second thoughts about what he really wants in this case. And so what did he just tell me? With one statement, he said, well, the Bella should live with her mother. But at the same time, he's telling me, well, Miss Stevenson was going to kill her and Miss Stevenson is going to put her up for adoption. Why do you want to say all that stuff, Mr. Chambers? That doesn't make any sense. Do you want me to give you custody?
No, sir. I just
All right,
want to
then
see my
why?
daughter.
So why you want to make all those ugly statements about Miss Stevenson? Do you really think, Mr. Chambers, in the long run, that all of that ugly stuff that you just said about Miss Stevenson is going to help you reestablish your relationship with Bella? I can tell you right now, it ain't. Do you think every time that you might need Miss Stevenson to work with you to change a minor change to your schedule because of your work, do you think Miss Stevenson is going to be more likely to work with you or less likely to work with you because of all the ugly stuff you just said about her? Less likely. So I hope it made you feel better for the 3 or 4 minutes that I let you go on and say all that ugly stuff. But at some point in time, I have to make you stop because you're not offering anything to me to help me with my decision. All you're really doing is hurting your chances in the long run, Mr. Chambers, to reestablish your relationship with your daughter. That's what you're doing. It's sad. It's sad. The amount of dirt throwing that people do in these cases when they don't see the forest because they're standing in front of a tree. I would have assumed, Mr. Chambers, that your number one priority in this case, more than anything else, more than slinging dirt at Miss Stevenson, more than what you're going to have to pay in child support and medical support, more than anything you're going to have to pay in retroactive child support, I would have thought that your number one concern would be, Judge, I don't care what you do. I just want to spend time with my daughter again like I did for 2 years. How many times in the history of the 45 minutes that we've been in this hearing, Mr. Chambers, did you tell me that? None. Not once.
I said it the first hearing, Your Honor.
But today ain't the first hearing.
Yes, sir.
No. You know, when you represent yourself, Mr. Chambers, you should come in and have a little notepad. And if you looked online, there are lots of lawyers out there give you some free advice about what you should do when you represent yourself in a courtroom, especially regarding family. You should have wrote yourself a big note, and it should have said one thing: stress my contact rights with my 3-year-old daughter. That's what it should have said, because everything else is irrelevant. Sad, just sad. You know, for 2 years, Bella had a good relationship with Mr. Chambers, and something happened in July. I wasn't there, so I don't know what it was. Mr. Chambers told me his side of it. Miss Stevenson told me her side of it. I'm going to tell you Bella's side of it. Bella now has not had contact with her daddy in 10 months. That's her side of it. Miss Stevenson, how you want me to fix that? How you want me to fix the fact that Bella hasn't had contact rights with her daddy in 10 months? Tell me.
He can have visitations. The only reason why he did not get to see her is because the police told me that I needed to have paperwork involved.
Okay. So you made the choice, Miss Stevenson, on your own, based on what you said the police told you, that he wasn't going to have contact rights with your daughter from that point forward.
Yes, I made that choice after
Perfect.
he did keep her.
See, I love that, Miss Stevenson. At least you just owned it, right? And now the state's coming here and wants me to sit, I don't know, $36,000 in retroactive child support against Mr. Chambers. You know you're not going to get that, right, Miss Overstreet?
I'm with me.
All right.
Your Honor, I do have a question for regarding the last name.
Yes, ma'am.
He can, if So he can have the last name attached to Stevenson at the end, but will that hurt her paperwork for school because she does go to school this year?
No. Why would it hurt her name? Why would it hurt her? How's it going to hurt her?
No, I'm saying that I would have to do it all over again to add that last name.
I mean, yeah, she'd have to be enrolled in whatever name I choose to give her.
Okay.
See, here's the other thing, Miss Stevenson and Mr. Chambers. If y'all don't agree on the name, then guess what? This old judge sitting behind this camera is going to make the name. That's what's going to happen.
Well, then he can have the last name attached to Stevenson.
See, I love that. See that at least you get a say, right? I get some control over what it's going to be. Thank you, Miss Stevenson, for being reasonable on the last name. That I do appreciate more than you know. Anything further from the state?
No, Your Honor.
This court is going to find that this court has jurisdiction. I'm going to find that it is certainly in Bella's best interest to name the parties as joint managed conservators with Miss Stevenson is the right to establish the primary residence of the child. Mr. Chambers is going to have visitation rights. And through no fault of his own, that visitation does have to be reestablished. Not having any contact with Bella in 10 months is not Bella's fault, but she has to relearn who Mr. Chambers is. Okay, that's just the nature of it. You go 10 months without seeing a baby that's only 3 years old, she's got to relearn who you are. And hopefully that ain't going to take long because this phased in visitation schedule is going to be real short. 0 supervised, 0 unsupervised for half days. I want 4 full day visits followed by 4 one-night overnight visits and then standard possession after that. Mr. Chambers and Miss Stevenson, so y'all know what that means because that was judge and attorney lingo. That means that Mr. Chambers' visitation is going to be 4 Saturday visits for the entire day. He will come to Port Arthur. He will pick up Bella. He will keep Bella for the whole day. And then he'll bring Bella back to Miss Stevenson in that evening. He will do that 4 times. Okay. When those 4 visits are done, then Mr. Chambers is going to have 4 one-night overnights. That means he gets to pick the child up on Saturday at 6 and bring the child back on Sunday at 6. When those 4 visits are done, then he'll have standard possession. That will mean that Mr. Chambers will have every 1st, 3rd, and 5th weekend of the month, every other major holiday, 30 days in the summer, and every Father's Day weekend. Okay. Now, unfortunately, that will mean that Mr. Chambers will probably miss his summer contact for this year. Even if he does them specifically the way I said, he's not going to be able to get those 8 visits done before his summer contact would have come up in July. So, but he still will have Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, and he'll have full-blown standard by the time next summer rolls around. I'm going to order Mr. Chambers to carry the health insurance on the child. He has a good job. He makes a decent living. He does have health insurance through his employer. I looked it up. He can go out and get health insurance on the child. The insurance credit that I gave him credit for, Miss Overstreet, was $350 a month for the health insurance and dental insurance for the $50 a month for the dental. Child support in this case is going to be based on the wages that Mr. Chambers and that Miss Nash testified to. $850 a month beginning June the 1st, 2023. Retroactive child support would be granted, but I'm not going very far. $4,250 in retroactive child support. That'll be paid back at a rate of $50 a month beginning June the 1st of 2023. I am changing the last name of the child, Bella's last name from this point forward. Mr. Chambers will be responsible for court costs, but I will give him until November 30th of 2023 to pay my court cost. Ms. Overstreet, did the state of Texas hear all the terms and conditions of my court order?
Yes. The retro, did you say 4,250?
That's what I said.
Okay. And you said 50 a month 50, on that. Okay.
50 on the retro.
Okay. I was writing and couldn't keep up.
I try to remember to slow down with Ms. Overstreet. Once I get rolling,
I know. Stop me. I wanted to make sure that I wrote down what I was hearing. Thank you.
Anything else?
No, I got everything else. Thanks. You didn't say it on the record, but are you denying the family violence? I mean, the non.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And no
And no
domicile,
geo,
and
right?
no domicile restriction. No,
Right, okay.
he's a resident of Harris County, so no domicile.
Okay. Thank you.
What that means, Ms. Stevenson, Mr. Chambers, normally in Jefferson County, I'm required by the local rule with the district judges that I work for to put a domicile restriction, which means Ms. Stevenson must reside with Bella in Jefferson County. But Mr. Chambers doesn't reside in Jefferson County, so there's no restriction that needs to be placed on Ms. Stevenson.
Okay.
All right. Now, Mr. Chambers and Ms. Stevenson, they're going to send me a proposed order. As long as it matches what I said here today, I'm going to sign it and get it back to them. Then they're going to make a copy of it and they're going to send it to each of you. Now,
So they will send all of the visitation to my phone.
however you normally get your stuff from the AG's office, Ms. Stevenson, that's how they will send it to you. Okay.
Okay, just asking.
Oh no, I don't know. I don't work for them, Ms. Stevenson. I have no idea how they get information out to people anymore.
Oh, okay.
They email me all my stuff. Everything they send me by email.
Gotcha. I just ain't want to miss no visitation.
No, and it's not going to start. It ain't going to start till June 1st anyway.
Okay.
So it's going to be a couple of weeks before it gets started because it'll take that long for the order to get processed. Mr. Chambers, do you have any questions about the ruling today?
The financial part, yeah, but
What's your question about the financial part?
you should pay $850 a month.
Yes, sir. That's your child support.
I mean, there's nothing I can say, honestly. I can't afford it, but I'm gonna have to pay it, I guess.
Did you not make that much money last year? The state said you made over what? What did I have it based on? 56930 times 12. The state testified that you made $68,000 last year. Did you not make 68,000? Is that not your gross?
I mean, if it says that, yes, sir. I was just saying, like, we wasn't fully staffed last year. There was a lot of overtime, and now that we're fully staffed, it hasn't been the same. It's been.
And how long has it been like that?
Since the beginning of this year, they've been hiring people, and they've been cutting OT and stuff like that, and my rent went up, sir.
Well, I mean, I can't help your bills, Mr. Chambers. The state,
yeah,
your child support is based on your income. Miss Nash,
Yes,
Nash, did you see a big difference in the quarterly wages that were reported by Mr. Chambers' job?
no, sir.
Okay. See, when I looked at it, Mr. Chambers, that's kind of what I look at. If I had saw a big change in your most recent quarterlies, I'd have said, oh yeah, that could be true. But this is just an average, all right? All right. All right. Well, look, guys, I mean, I could sit here and keep preaching at you. It's not going to do any good. At some point in time, you're going to have to figure out what's the most important thing. And if you can get to the most important thing, then things will get back to what they were before this incident in July. Okay? I wish you both